Hey, what's going on, guys? Desert Fox here, tapping in with a losses is lessons look through for this video. We're playing in a game where we actually got stomped, so definitely a lot of lessons here for us. Now, I called this out kind of in the lobby, and then somebody else kind of called it out that I believe we were playing a team stack, probably a full 5 stack component. Um, One guy dropped out on the enemy team, but then came back, and then somebody else called out that we were playing a teams against a team, and we were not a team. So off rip, that's the one thing that I will say for the first thing for your lessons. If you guys can get it with a team, definitely do it. Coordination, Discord, TeamSpeak, whatever you guys do, just definitely work as a team. As the other, as our opponents definitely played very well as a team. So we're going to go and through this video and go through like the methodology and what I think works and what doesn't work, even when playing against a team, as well as what lessons as we look through the video, what we could do better. So off rip, right? In the highlights, you kind of saw that double nuke at the opener. Here it comes. Their planes are trying to get air superiority. We're trying to shoot the nukes down. We didn't bring any birds, but my decks are a lot different now. So I've probably seen this. Would I definitely like to help out our our teammates there? But they get their cruise missiles off and double nuke. Now, luckily for us, I mean, this is so lucky because this probably works really well against other players. We had a lot of airborne forces, so the airborne troops. Or troops and choppers essentially did not get doinked. So we actually came out ahead and they expended a lot of points on that. What that means for me is okay, cool. That means we have some time to set up, yada yada woo woo. Now, if we look at like this first engagement, I trade my Comanche for his opener as well, but my opener gets through. So off the bat, I would say that is pretty good. But then very next thing that we should have done is bring recon. The first thing, if you guys remember my first meta video is a triple RD recon, range, and then rapid deployment. Everything that we brought doesn't have any range, not really, unless it's point defense, like the Raws, the Delta Force, it's all point defense. And we brought one Stinger unit. So we have no range, we have no recon, right? We've deployed pretty rapidly, but nothing that we have, we can't see the enemy, what he's bringing, or anything like that. So off the bat, I give us a 2 out of 10 for the stage one, which is essentially trying to get air dominance, trying to see what the enemy has, and so on and so forth. So we're kind of cheating. Our teammate is bringing their recon, and we kind of see they're bringing some light units, but we are special forces. We have the best recon in the game. So really, really bad job. Bad Desert Fox, bad. For not bringing any of your still super stealthy recon and being able to dominate the battlefield. As you can see, we have 2 Sentinels. We didn't bring any of them. We're relying on the MCAF that and the Shorad for basically a standard opener. Now the enemy has very good maneuverability with our choppers. Remember, our chopper got shot down. We are trying to doink this chopper. I think he ends up getting away. Spoiler alert there. But I was really shocked. I was like, oh man, this guy got away. What the heck? You know, flew right over my Raw, flew right over my Stinger. So 1 is none and 2 is 1. So just kind of keep that in mind. Probably need to just bring a little bit more stuff. We're floating around 500 points is enough for like a couple tanks. And we know we've got our Shorad, but we kind of didn't know what to do and how to respond to that chopper. See, we're bringing in the wrong stuff. We're just worried about the armor. This is kind of when we were more novices in the game, and we didn't really know. See that wheeled vehicle is trading and rolling, so he's really using this to see how far his units can get before they get doinked. Really good, what I call a probing force. So he's probing our lines, and he could see, oh, I can go over our on our far left and go almost to D, slightly opposed. Like there's no real opposition there, and you can almost push all the way to B. Our little birds aren't on station. Our tracked vehicles aren't on station, and just to get them on station just takes extremely long time. So choppers are really effective because you got wide open space, and then there's some like patches of like forest, right? So we see he has vehicles out there on the wings there. We are trying our best to get into this fight, seeing that he's pushing. We kind of want the enemy to respect our kind of not push constantly on us when we're weak. Because if they think you're weak, they're going to be constantly pushing. Now you can bait them that way, but I would say we didn't do a very good job of any of that, right? So we're kind of a mix. Do we help our teammate at B? Do we go help ourselves? And then here's another lesson right here. Dropping behind the enemy lines, not necessarily on the point. If you notice, our units are deployed a little bit more forward. I was like, wow, that is really cool that he dropped behind us. I wasn't sure if he just had, I mean, yeah, see, he has recon there with that drone. And so he knows, oh man, there's like literally nothing out there. So if I just drop behind them, I can take the cap and isolate his guys. So we're kind of stuck between his just dropped infantry and these vehicles. Now we are bringing up our Comanche to try to fend off that Terminator, which is a really good unit. We're trying to maneuver away from their Stingers, which we believe they have some at F, and we're bringing up some Bradleys. The lesson here really is we really didn't bring enough ranged units at the beginning, right? We brought the one Comanche, but we also didn't bring good recon at the beginning, and that shapes the entire battlefield where the enemy flew over and then knows, oh, I can drop on J. Aspect number two is, if you notice, we're out here pretty much by ourselves fighting on an island, right? We don't know if we're fighting two players, one players, we don't really know. But everyone else is fighting. There's like literally nobody else here, right? And this is kind of a team game. And if you're fighting, let's say, close to their respawn, and you maybe two or three players can quickly support with like choppers and like boomerangs, like the wheeled IFVs that the Russians have, then you're just gonna get that. Like if they can plug holes, they're gonna plug holes, unless you're just an immaculate player, which we are not. So you see, we're trying to get some SHORAD kills. We turned on our long range AA. We're scouting with the recon and then using the SHORAD to get some doinks at range. So trying to mix it up in the infantry with the infantry in the forest there, but then they just counterattack quickly with boomerangs. Now we have the flanks to the boomerangs, but they have our flanks when it comes to the choppers. So one of our units is kind of forced to shoot at the choppers. He gets destroyed, and then the boomerangs come in with the Barbarous. We did not see the Barbarous coming. We did not see the Dead of Isaiah coming. Why? Because we don't have any recon. And so now they have really well supported units. Good AA, good chopper support, and they're really kind of pushing. Now we do hold our own with the killer egg just at range, and the Comanches again just trying to maneuver out to the wings, absolutely getting destroyed. At this point, I was like, man, I kind of don't know what to do. uh, we are isolated. Their armor just kind of pushed us off the mark 100%. Our armor just got absolutely steamrolled, and the choppers are still there, and they could push, right? And I was like, I hope he doesn't, but he ends up pushing, right? Our Comanche's gonna shoot. He's gonna try to trade with the little bird, which is the juicier target, the cheaper target, I should say. So we fend off one, but then they bring like three more, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what what do we do with this? This is crazy. So we throw good money after bad. We start pulling our Comanches back. What we should have did in hindsight is pull around to someone else's ground AA. Just keep running back like, oh, where's the enemy? Where's our friendly ground AA? And run to that, and then like run back to reinforcements. You see our infantry in there getting cleaned up by the enemy. Couldn't really get them out. They're behind enemy lines there, so it's really unfortunate for our Rangers. But yeah, we're bringing in another Comanche, bringing in a Raptor to see if we can clean up this chopper. Not really a good use of our Raptor there, as as soon as he starts firing, he flies right over the enemy. I don't know why that was the default for him to shoot at the birds and then fly right over the enemy's AA. So we have to almost immediately tell him, hey, try to get out, and he gets shot down. So keep that in mind. Don't just let your planes do whatever. Um, they are valuable, and you just gave away like 300 to 400 points to the enemy. Just shoot down like one chopper, which is really unfortunate when he could have just turned and banked the other way. We're trying desperately to get recon on the enemy, but again, we have 600 points, but we are not in our own heads to float a sentinel. to get a sentinel to see what the enemy's bringing and to see, more importantly, where the enemies are. Now, our ally has a sentinel up. You can see that there. And you could see, okay, his sentinel's flying over. It's going to get doinked here pretty soon. But if we flew one over on more to the left, I think we could have got recon on where we were fighting. So at this time, I'm like, okay, what do I call in? I'm not really sure. Because I know that the Russians kind of have a lot more armor and it's cheaper and it's on parity, believe it or not, with the American armor in this game. I truly believe that on parity now especially in this game. Now numerically, in real life, we don't know if that's necessarily true, but it's not the point. We're in Broken Arrow, and we need to play to win here. So we see that chopper there on the left, and in my head, I'm thinking, okay, so there's this tree line where you kind of set up a defense with your armored units. Um, let's see if we can start getting some units in this tree line, infantry, armor, all this stuff. We got to clear it and then we get armor, but it's gonna take so long to get there, man. Look how far they have to travel before they can get out there. And then you've got the pond too, so your allies really can't support you unless they're calling in units to that point. So it's kind of, you are fighting on an island. We do have the B point with the Marines, but if you notice, they have the only AT component is a couple of javelin units, and then they got some rangers, a couple squads of raiders, excuse me. So really are by ourselves. And now I'm just like, man, I don't know kind of what to do. They're definitely pulling ahead on points. I need to do something to get back in this fight. It is kind of hard. So I'm like, okay, I know my Comanches trade pretty well. And then I got my grenade launcher units. Maybe we'll park them in the corner there and see if the enemy tries to break out in the clearing. We'll have that covered. We also have a Beefist by our ally over there to recon. We see the Barbarous there. Shout out to the Barbarous. Very, very dangerous unit. Essentially, it is I call the Barbarous almost the king of battle. It has the ability to engage everything really effectively. It has really good missiles for tanks, like good range, good armor, can move around like a tank, decently, and then has a autocannon so that it can effectively engage infantry really, really good. 57 millimeters. So king of battle there. And you should take a lot of them if you can. They are 290, but I think they are definitely worth it. If you maneuver them correctly, they're cheaper than tanks, but they can also take out tanks. So king of battle, good for trading. That was established very well effectively in the beta, and they were even cheaper than 290, and people just spam them. And if you didn't take them, yeah, people were like, what are you doing?" But it's stuff that you learn, especially for us as newer players. It's stuff you learn in the game. We're trying to bring a trophy. We're bringing a couple Bradleys. They're just moving at snail's pace. Even just watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like watching paint dry getting to the front. We have like chopper units that we can bring, but to stop all this Russian armor that we know that they have passed beyond D and then J. And then you also have to worry about the airborne units dropping on top of you or behind you. That is super annoying, like just knowing that that's there. So somebody would say, well, dude, Desert, where's your AA? Yeah. Well, very good question. I noticed that when you're building your deck, the problem is if I can't get like if I can't win that fight, I probably don't bring it. So you can bring the PVAS and the Patriots, but the armored Patriots, they only get 4. Whereas you really need the multiple PVADs, multiple Patriot ones. So we could trade there with the Comanche. Really good unit, great for trading. One-on-one, I think chopper wise, it's almost one of the best choppers in the game. We're also we spot another alligator there, so we've got a shore rat in position. He can do his job. So we're trying to take out the enemy's choppers. We're down a lot in points. So even though we're kind of setting up a front line, or what we think is a front line, even on the right hand side, our allies are getting bullied pretty effectively. We only have 3 points, and then one of them is the B point, which they haven't even pushed on except for the initial. They definitely pushed us off the J point, and then subsequently could take the D point almost unopposed. So it's just one of those things, and they're dug in. So we see the Barbarous there. We only have one tank. Now we have two tanks, a Shorad and a Recon Bradley. That's kind of our what we consider a decent push. Any more than that is kind of overkill, and you just become a big juicy meatball. So you want to have you could be effective with what we have on the field. It's just I can't see what they have. Again, Recon, 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 Recon. You gotta bring the recon. Got our war pig over there because we're trying to prevent things just flying or moving over on our left. We gotta protect our flanks. This would have been a good spot for the recon Bradley where the shore at is. If you see, he's trying to shoot at that Barbarous there, but the Barbarous is basically just gonna run away. Yeah, get some active protection. Here's now what they do is pretty cool. I don't know what popped my Shorat. I think it was the Barbarous. Again, it's basically a tank fighting a light IFV, but I see them drop all these notice. I'm like, okay, I have two tanks. What let's get those points, right? I was just running in there, guns blazing, right? And then what am I running smack dab into? Nothing but like anti-armor menace infantry. And they basically just let me know, oh, one thing you're not gonna do is run out here and just get these doinks. Now we see the T14 maneuvering, and I was like, okay, my first tank is damaged slightly, but I can get a side shot with my rifleman, maybe if he gets the road, but it didn't work out that way. The damage trophy took the first hit. The undamaged trophy didn't get to the road in time, and so it became a one-on-one. He gets his kill and runs off, and then now we're outmaneuvered by their scouts and some VDV, as well as a Barbarous. We're just and then the infantry falls. I'm like, oh my gosh, like literally we just expose ourselves and they're just maneuvering flawlessly. The Dead of Isaias fitting off our Comanche. Now our tanks isolated, and I'm like, yeah, that was just a waste of like 1,000 points. Two heavy tanks and a slew of Bradleys just gave them easily probably 1,000, 1,200 points. Just you know, trying to get something going on the Nonas, taking the right tools for the job. If you see the Nonas there, what's a better thing to destroy the Nonas? Maybe artillery. Find out where they are. Recon properly. Anything better than just rushing your very expensive tanks into a tank trap and then get outmaneuvered. Woo! So I was like, ay, ay, ay. At this point, it's like, okay, my initial push was destroyed. My subsequent battle line has been absolutely wrecked. I have this handful of infantry, and I know I could see all the Russian armor. I just can't reach out to it. Then they try to nuke me, right? Look at that. Nothing's well, they get one unit, the Stinger, and then now I finally bring some recon, and I can see what's there. But I have no units, so you want to have the recon out before your units come. Now, of course, it gets popped, yeah, but you can see they don't have that much there as regards to armor. There's like a Dead of Itzaya, a T14, a Barbarous that just cleaned my clock, and then a whole bunch of anti-tank infantry. So if we're taking lessons here, that's what you should be bringing. Anti-tank infantry, good recon because there was a scout there. Um, and then use your recon effectively. And then if you know the enemy's going to counterattack you, or you believe they will, popping 1,000 point nuke might not be a bad thing. And the fact that the Russians have the cruise missile versions is kind of cool. Their plane doesn't have to get close. Where your plane almost every time, like you see here, he's gonna drop the nuke. It will get through. It's not gonna get intercepted because it's a bomb, not a cruise missile. But that's still 1,000 points. So if you did not get, how can I put it? If you didn't get 1,000 points worth, you're not going to trade effectively. Whereas their nuke almost every time will get their plane will every time get away, but their nuke might not make it through. So it's kind of a trade off there. You get a guaranteed bomb to get through if the plane gets through, but as soon as that plane drops, it's 1,000 points. That's illuminated now, and you're flying right over the enemy. So you better get 1,000 points worth of juice out of your nuke, and that's kind of the point of the recon. You got to know where the enemy's at. and stuff like that. We built a lot better decks um, to be a lot more effective in situations like this. I think some of the gameplay that we have now is just way more effective. See, the cluster of munitions is being effective there against the Nona. That's the right tool for the job. You also have maybe Paladins or Iron Thunders would be really good getting a pop there. So shout out to our ally. But we just got pwned. We just being newer to the game and not necessarily knowing what's what and who's who and what does what. We're susceptible to this kind of abuse. We've got a couple of tanks being called in, but as you can see, we see already that they already have us on parity. And so as soon as we expose ourselves, it's going to be a bad day. We bring a guardian, just bring in more stuff. But this stuff is expensive, and it doesn't mean we get a lot of it, right? We haven't really floated a lot of points, haven't built up a lot of points. They have air dominance, right? He's going to probably shoot at my trophy there. He's going to smoke. But see, we have to dead charge and we're already damaged, and that's a problem. So Comanche would have been nice here. We don't know if they have a dead event side right there. The War Pig would have been nice if it had the actual, the whatchamacall, the missile, the toes. But we are now exposed to multiple airplanes coming at us in cleaning house, evening those odds. The Guardians not there supporting the Comanches. We're just behind. So we pop smoke and try to retreat there. It's just a bad day. I was like, oh my god, like we can't get anything working, dude. The Barbarous is on like 5 health. The Guardians can't get a firing solution. I'm like, oh, the timing's off. So that's real main lesson number 2 outside of recon. Properly supporting your units so you can have the timing. If you can't recon there, then the timing of your range isn't going to be effective. The enemy outranged us. They brought rapid deployed units quickly to even those odds, and then they got their one tank and they pulled back. They don't really have to push. That's the whole point. They have the points they need on this side, especially. So they really don't need to push out here. They just can fend off our pushes to have us respect it. And then immediately there's recon that they have flying right over us. They can see everything. So they know, oh, they only have a tank, a shorad, and maybe some other infantry, and we're good. So we're trying to like get the recon out with the STT, but it's just a bad day, right? Really, really bad day. Now, what we could have been doing is putting snipers out here on the wings to kind of really see, well, what does the enemy have back there? You can see we have all this infantry in the forest, but it's not being supported by anything. Artillery and probably a good tank push probably would have just drew us out. The enemy is actually making a push on a probe on that B point over there. So our allies, you got their push happening there, and we literally are just out here just doing our own thing, man. I'm like, dude, I want to take back the J point, get back the D point while they're pushing. I just literally have nothing. I have 300 points floated, no armor practically, and then some infantry, right? All my stuff is falling back to reload. And the problem is, you got all this open field, right? So any recon can fly over and spot you, and you have no protection there, right? And there's one road and you have to use it. So just really bad. And we got a tank here, pops up out of nowhere. Like, oh my gosh, how can you not see that giant tank? You get first shot on you. It's really unfortunate. Tell it to pop smoke, I think. Yeah, and he gets doinked. So all in all, it was just really, really bad. We got absolutely smoked. There was like, I don't think we did anything right. Like anything. It was really bad. I'm bringing in some Green Beret Punishers. So I'm like, I can't see anything. And in my head, I was just kind of beating myself up, saying, well, you just need to use the guys that work. When really the guy that works is a Sentinel, right? And so now I think I finally get a Predator. I pass over the Sentinel, excuse me, and I get a Predator because I want to be able to see. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot see anything. Now I almost exclusively use Sentinels because they're just way more effective. If I feel like they're gonna get shut down, I just pull them farther back and they can still kind of see some things. But here I was like, I need to see like really bad. Um, you see here, I'm trying to get my Silent Hawk in there, kind of sneak in there. There's the enemy's artillery that we pushed on originally, and of course there's some scouts. And I was like, oh, okay, okay. So they've got scouts over there. They beat us to the punch there. We just lost our unit. They're winning. Like, what do we do? Like, what's the play, right? Um, what do you do? Like, if you see that, you feel like you're doing good, and you're like, I don't really know. At least you know there's scouts there. You didn't bring any. You have some artillery, but you don't call them out because you're just afraid. Oh, their choppers are just going to come and doink you. Then you see that on the other side, there guy got a stealth bomber and is lasing stuff. And I'm like, can I get some help on this side? Like, pretty, please. But you could definitely tell I'm in my own head because my just lost a guardian there. You could tell him I'm in my own head because I've got my pilot over there, and I don't even call him. I don't even call him back. So I don't even call him back to base. They just did an airdrop on the B point. We're definitely losing ground here, for sure. The enemy has destruction score, and they have points. And I think, in my head, I'm like, dude, it's all because of me. Because we basically lost 3 points on this side. We lost the J point and we lost the D point, and then now we're losing the B point. And then look at all this armor, and I only have 100. I'm only have 100 points. I'm all on this side by myself. Look at all this armor. I'm like, what do you do, dude? I have like no points. I have literally nothing on the field, except for the stuff in the back, and it's gonna take forever to get up there. They got their armor, they got like the best AA in the game tour, they got all these recon drones coming up. Here they are, here they come. Right. What do you do with all of this, dude? So I'm like, okay, GMRS, fine. In hindsight, though, it's really gonna come down to air power. You're gonna need either seed, cruise missiles, something to defend it, to get really punch this armor. The Guardian's just gonna try to charge in there and buy me time. But this was like a very desperate, hey, I'm just gonna see how much damage we can cause, so that my tanks can get in position. They gotta get in position, uh, cluster the spot where they're advancing, and then kind of move forward because one tank versus like 3, 4 tanks isn't gonna do it. We just gotta scare them off, right? Charge unit, and it kind of works, right? Just violence there. They're like, nope, don't want that fight. One Guardian dead charges, but yep, these guys are exposed, getting spotted by all the recon. I'm assuming probably the scout move forward. So yeah, we drove them off from literally cutting us off. But I mean, there's no reason they have to come out here. That's the point. There's nothing, right? There's no point out here, and our resupply is all the way back there. So it's just easier to do stuff like this, like push this back and then use your recon with missiles on it to harass my very expensive 300 point tank that has no AA. Because I'm in my own head. I'm like, how is this even real, dude? There's no way. Yeah, there's more of those. I'm basically using the SHORAD to try to fend off these things. It's not doing a very good job. So somebody calls in something and shoots it down, but we lose a PVAT. It's just weird that PVATs can't shoot down drones, but drones can shoot at PVATs. So yeah. So at this point, we're definitely getting steamrolled. Part of it is me giving up a lot of points to the enemy initially. Now we bring a pack to late than ever. I think we tell it to turn its radar on at some point. Hey, we just shoot down this thing here. There we go. Um, but I had to call in a whole pack to shoot down like a drone, like and that's one of its missiles is gone, and so that's why I don't bring it. It's like, um, if you bring 3 drones, I got to shoot all 3 drones down. They got a whole bunch of planes, all this other stuff. So like the pack doesn't have the amount of missiles that we need to be effective. They bring in one sortie of stuff and it's basically wasted most, if not all of its missiles. We finally like, you know what, let's go get this poor little pilot. We got quite a few of their pilots. So we told them, oh wait, the little bird needs to go get that guy. Now we just exclusively use a Silent Hawk. I don't even bother with the little birds. They're cool. They're cool and all, but they're basically like flying glass cannons. there. And yeah, we just get absolutely pushed off the mark at B. Any resistance at B is absolutely just crushed. We have our MLRS trying to do a uh, kind of a revenge strike there because we're kind of pissed. But we have nothing on the scoreboard as regards to in phase three. They have 3 points, and look all the points they already have going into phase three. So they're gonna really pull ahead. Again, we've taken so much of a beat down. This is only phase two. So there's another 15 minutes of absolute just mayhem of us getting doinked. So we're like, okay. The cool thing is they didn't cap all the points. So we didn't go into sudden death, right? And so we're getting RD'd by the grand right tool for the right job. Bunch of infantry in the forest use a grand, right? That's really actually really smart. So now we have to pull all these guys back because they're damaged. Trying to pull in some supplies, and I'm like, dude, I'm basically been pushed all the way out here in no man's land to try to like threaten this flank to make them not completely push all their units around the pond because they can't do that. Like if you bring helicopters, you can fly over that pond and really wreak havoc on our allies' flank. Um, because our allies are pushing, but they're just not taking any points, right? We have 2 points, and they're like pretty much behind our lines, so to speak. But they're pushing, but they can't take any points. I'm like, dude, this is probably the worst. This is by far the worst game I think I ever played. They, weirdly enough, napalm their own Spetsnaz unit. So I was like, okay. I mean, if you want it that bad, bro, delete your own dude. And he gets out. I was like, no freaking way. So you doink my guy. Your guy gets out, but he's in the flames too. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, we're still, and this is what I would say to like the newest player watching this and be like, okay, this is what you should take away. Number one, recon, recon, recon. Use your stealthy recon, play to your strengths. We did not do that. Things we did not take. We should have been constantly bringing out our Comanches, constantly bringing out our Sentinel recons. They're stealthy, and putting them in the right spot is good. Also, deck composition for us, don't just charge your tanks. Soften up the enemy with like cruise missiles. We have a deck now. We have like long range stuff and cruise missiles. But again, I don't have any targets over here. Why? Because we don't have any recon on this side. There's literally nothing I can spot for my MLRS. We have the AA on. It's super late, right? It's not going to really stop much, and you're fighting by yourself. That's another thing. Don't fight isolated. If you can all avoid it, it's easier to play with your opponent or with your teammates, excuse me, so that you guys can support each other. A lot of the games that we've been winning, we've been supported involuntarily um, with our allies. And as you can see, one of the players he's left, so I'm like, okay, people are already starting to leave. They kind of see the writing on the wall there. But they're essentially everyone else is fighting on that side, and look where I'm at. I'm fighting by myself. So it'd probably be easier to like play on that side and then try to really put pressure on the G point or the B point there. But we're just out here doing our own thing. We're not getting any help from anybody. We're not helping anybody. It's just that's why we're getting smoked. So essentially, you're fighting one person, maybe two, and they're 3-on-4 on that side, or 3-on-3 now because one of our guys quit. Um, our units take forever to get to the front line, and we're just trying to make a battle line in case they push. But they're not going to push over here. Why would they push over here, right? So it would probably been easier for us to get our tanks in the forest over there by B and threaten B from the side we're on, and then move from there. Then maybe somebody would come help us support with Air Force units and stuff like that. But we're just fixated on taking J, taking the D point back. And we never do. We never get close to the D point, get close to the J point. It was really, really bad. It was really, really bad. So um I mean, we could just kind of play this through, but in actuality, it doesn't get much better. We try to rush in with war pigs. We see with our recon that they're bringing a Ural, which means now They're essentially just dropping massive amounts of troops, I believe, massive amounts of troops, almost unopposed. If you could just drive a truck basically to the front line, yeah. So now we finally see the Sentinels up. It's not getting shot down. We could see the whole battlefield. We could see they got units over here. They got the donuts. And so now we start. Now our MLRS, if you notice, only has one round, and it gets shot down. But we know where they are, so that's the most important thing. That's really the most important thing. We can kind of see where they are a little bit, and it helps, right? But the one rocket isn't gonna blow up all those donuts, right? You didn't supply your guys properly. Um, a lot of our gameplay now is a lot better, but yeah, it didn't look good. Trying to get some troops in the forest here. We fired. It's like, oh my gosh, we fired one rocket. Let's see what it does. I don't even think it gets a doink. Nope, doesn't. It just hits, and then we have to move to supplies. So all in all, the worst gameplay that I've ever played. Their scouts are there. I think we're shooting grenades at them. Delta Force is about to open up here. They're engaged. Make mincemeat of that guy, that scout there. Let's see how the enemy responds. I kind of forget how the enemy responds here, but I know, okay, he's probably going to respond. I need to pull my Delta Force back and bring my armored units up, because if the enemy's going to do anything, it's going to be, I see a Delta Force out there. I want to get my revenge. I'm either going to bomb it with artillery, bring my choppers, or bring my tanks and just roll over this Delta Force guy, because we know he doesn't have any kind of anti-armor stuff. Not really. But we've got someone with a battle line there, which is cool. And notice there's a road to Bravo, right? We could War Pig rush that. We could chopper drop in a whole bunch of infantry, run them up there. We could do any of that. We got actually a tank over there. Never really comes to mind to threaten Bravo and to take a point back. We see them maneuvering, and we're just trying to stop that. You're like, hey, let's get this killer egg over here, because they're probably trying to drop some recon guys over here. We see the Punisher is doing his job reconning and catching that guy slipping. Getting some killer egg. Good doink, right? Now it doesn't have any infantry, which means he was just trying to. Oh, it does have infantry. Look at that. So dropping off a nasty little surprise. Really good combination of units there. Because it's going to be hard to just dislodge it. You almost need Delta Force to dislodge that guy, and you can't just drop them in. You have to like figure out how you're going to get them there, right? So we're going to get a Silent Hawk there. We're going to get some grenade launcher guys as well. Like my anti-infantry combo. You get some Delta Force, you get some Punishers, you get some grenade launcher dudes, and you just wreck whatever's over there. He's isolated. We can get one doink 3-on-1 kind of thing. Kind of attacking where they're weak. They did end up bringing an armored unit, and the Raws got it. So smart on us for pulling our Delta Force back and catching them slipping. But what do we run into? Good old fashioned Spetsnaz GRU. Delta Force is going to be good for that. I don't know, like the desync there that was Spetsnaz GRU just appeared on our right flank, but really kind of puts us in a bad lot there, because we have to get some support on that. The Raws are just going to get wrecked by that GRU unit. You can see they're doing their best to try to do damage, but the GRU is just running at us. So the Delta Force is like out of position. It's weird. Even though he's close in, for some reason, the Spetsnaz GRU is getting the better of both these Delta Forces and the grenade launcher guys. But yep, here comes the armor, and pretty much makes short work of everything else now that we've exposed ourselves. Delta Force smokes, runs, but he's immediately supporting his rapid deployed forces. Rapidly supported forces. So just ran triple RD way better than us. Our guys suppressed, combat ineffective. We get the doink, but now you're like, well, here comes the armor. It's probably just going to steamroll us at this point. We should be calling our Raws to see if they can support a Delta Force, and they kind of run to each other. I think we end up doing that. Yep, the grenade launcher guys. But we're trying to avoid taking any more losses to the armor there. Nope. And then I'm like, oh, call back to base. No, I want you to drop and go back to base. That'd be nice. We got the Cav, Bradley Cav over there. Yep, there's a Data Vitsaya in the tank running down our Delta Force. And look at that. See how he just shoots and like he's already out. One plane appeared. He fired all four of his missiles or all three of them, and now he's out. So it's like, dude, like if I don't get any doinks, I'm basically just calling this guy out to shoot down drones. I need a real answer. So I can have a real answer with how I can pressure the enemy and keep him off balance, or I need to really devote a lot more resources to AA. Do I really want to devote a lot of resources to AA when you should be stealthy, nimble, and then once the enemy is off balance, punch them with an armor component? Or do you really want to? So that's I had to rebalance my deck. My decks now are a little bit more off balance, trying to keep the enemy off balance with like cruise missiles, keep the enemy off balance with stealthy attacks. And then if once they maneuver their forces, get armor in there and then get the doink. So screen with infantry, put your infantry in front, and then immediately support with armor. That has been so far the most effective way to kind of do this. Because if you don't do it like that, then you're essentially you're not going to trade very well, especially with the cheaper Russian armor. You need a cheaper unit to undercut their units to be effective. And American infantry is actually pretty good for that, especially when you take a full component of javelins, a full component of the recon Bradley. If there's a nuke going off in the background trying to even the score, shout out to him. I don't think the B2 actually gets out. I think he gets doinked here. I hope he gets out because again, nope, he doesn't. So that's 1,000 points. Just because you hit 1,000, you're basically breaking even with the U.S. nuke, and it's cool to drop it, but because of the Russian one is a cruise missile, you're getting the nuke off, trading up, right? But you don't lose a unit. So even if you lose the unit, you almost have to have total air dominance to drop the nuke. It's annoying. It's not a flaw in the game. It just it makes it for a difference of gameplay, and then so it's just better to just death by 1,000 cuts the Russians with cruise missiles, and cruise missile spam them. They have some of the best AA units in the game though, so you're gonna have to bring a seed unit to get those doing. So in hindsight, in retrospect, I would say closing thoughts, your deck build teamwork is really the dream work. If you could do SF armor and then special SF armor and then armor striker, that I think that's like the dual combo for your team. It'd be really good. Everything else like Marines and all and airborne can be countered somewhere else in those two decks. The next thing I would also say is that recon. Any excuse to recon, do it. So that you can use your artillery, use your MLRS, right, properly. MLRS is kind of harder to use. You want to use it for long range targets that you can't reach with your artillery. So bring one MLRS and then bring a slew of artillery. That's probably the best thing. Rapidly deploy, support your rapidly deployed unit. So don't just have your infantry on its own, your armor on its own. Use them together and then try to strike the weak points of the enemy. Now charge into the defense, strong defense of the enemy. Find where their flanks are or their weaknesses and attack that with fast moving forces. Now you see we're trying to do something like that. We're artillerying it right before we launch an attack with tanks, little birds. Now we're finally getting our act together. We got that unit, but the MLRS just did its job and got the doinks there. But we trade by losing a killer egg to the Tor. So even that, it's like, okay, you did good. You took out a tank. The tank's probably 290. You just lost two little birds, which are, 95 points each. It's just weird. It's just a weird, just a weird way to do it. So had we waited to bring the little birds in to kind of cover our retreat, maybe, this would have been a little bit more effective, maybe pop the tour. So that's how I do it now. I do it like artillery might go in first, soften up the enemy, launch your armor, and if we take losses, the enemy pursues, we're Johnny on the spot with the choppers, because a lot of times your opponent will bring their tanks, forgetting to immediately support them with your AA units while they're pushing. Some guys are doing it, but a lot of guys aren't. You can catch them when they separate their tanks from their AA and really get some good doings with your choppers as they pursue. We see now it's we're bringing in artillery, but it's too little, too late, man. We should have been bringing this in at the start of the game, not at the end of the game because we couldn't really get headway. So that's something to think about. Range, recon, rapid deployment or recon range rapid deployment. But everyone, I think they did really good, absolutely stomping us out. Double nukes there at the beginning. We nuked a couple times, but shout out to everyone on the right hand side too. They did really good, trying to do their best. It was like my worst contribution ever. I think you'll even see the score here in about 21 seconds. But just trying to finish off this tank at range and then move. This would have been a lot more effective than what we've been doing. Just standing off at range, trying to even the odds because Russians are going to have the cheaper and more numerous armor. So you need to even the odds quickly. And as you can see, the top armor is not that is very, very squishy. So probably I wouldn't say it was one of my worst games. It is definitely the one that I felt we did absolutely horrible. We got no awards. One deserted. Everyone else got an award, but we did not. I mean, I wouldn't give us an award either. This is one of our first few games we started playing higher elo players, and so we got destroyed, absolutely doinked. You see there, the Comanche still did really, really good, but that's about it. Shora not really doing its job. Delta Force kind of covering what it needs to cover. We almost exclusively take the Delta Force in the standoff now. I just think it's way better to take them in the standoff because of their assortment of weapons. Got some Comanches there. Shout out to them. Delta Force did pretty good close in. Shout out to them. Right. You're not gonna see that too much. They were in the Ural, so that's what I'm saying. Like we caught them slipping there. But all in all, the game. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.